Good morning. Happy Friday morning to each and every one of you. I hope that you all have had a blessed week. We are so excited. It's Friday again. So we get to have completed another week. And we just want to say welcome, good morning, and welcome to the Autopsy of Her Healing, Evolving Resiliency. I am Iris D. Owens, your host and my co host. And on the line is my beautiful sister. Good morning, honey bunny.
Good morning, honey bunny. How you doing?
I'm
Stephanie
well.
Deanna Green.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm
Good,
definitely doing great. I'm
good.
working on getting my house painted. I'm getting situated. Man, I can get some
Yeah.
curtains up behind me.
Yes,
You
yes, yes,
know.
yes.
Also,
Well,
I'm sorry. This gray I chose, this gray is so beautiful. I keep like, that color is so beautiful. It's called chic
nice,
gray. It is so gorgeous. It has like the little brown in it
nice,
instead of the blue, so it's warm. Oh, it's beautiful. So I'm so excited. So I have some color on
nice,
these walls eventually.
nice, beautiful. Can't wait to see it.
I know.
It's
I
nice to
want
be able
to.
to
My
say
mom.
that I can see it, even no matter how far we are from one another.
Exactly, exactly. I'm like kind of. I want to do an accent wall, but I'm like, I'm thinking about it. I'm praying on it.
Yeah,
I kind
okay.
of do an orange accent wall, like,
Yes.
we'll see.
Well,
Because
the
I
orange
love
and
my
the gray will
color.
be nice, but yeah, we'll
Yeah,
we'll see how that works out.
exactly. I'm like, oh, let's see about. I gotta pray on it. I love the iris behind you. It's so beautiful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Gorgeous,
Yes.
gorgeous.
I have, it's so funny because when I see people now out that have only seen me for the last 18 months in Zoom and now see me in person, and they walk up to me and they go, I need you to have an iris behind you because it's the way I see you all the time. And then so now when I see you, I'm like, I need you to have
That's
an
so
iris.
that's funny.
I'm thinking, I'm like, man, I guess I need to create iris wings.
Exactly.
I need to create some iris wings. This is gonna be my new launch.
I know that's right. That is so
I need
funny.
I need iris wings. Does that people? I mean, literally, multiple people have walked. It's like you need to have an iris behind you everywhere you go. I said, well, technically, I am because I'm behind myself. So yeah,
Exactly. My name is Iris.
right. So I'm my biggest fan. So here we go. But anyway, well, we're gonna go ahead and get started this morning. We're gonna jump in, and so we always have the show, or we have the pre-talk before the show, and sometimes we don't, but most times we do. And so
Exactly.
this podcast is about what goes on in our lives, what we see go on in the lives of people that we know and love, sometimes people that we don't know and we don't have never met before, or people that we have encountered via things that go around in the world. And because of social media, you have the ability to kind of have a peek into the lives of so many people, even when you don't want to, but you have that ability to do that.
Yeah, more than you want to.
More, absolutely, more than you want to. And so today we're going to talk about, you know, I heard what you said, but more importantly, I heard what you didn't say. Um, and while I just said that, something just really came to my mind, and I want to kind of put this here um, as we talk about what we're getting ready to talk about. This podcast is about trauma, about healing from trauma, about being able to identify your trauma, about being able to evolve in life from trauma or traumatic situations in your life, and then having the resiliency to do all that, to heal, to get to the other side of better, right?
Hmm.
um but in this topic that we're talking about today, I heard what you said, but more importantly, I heard what you didn't say.
Hmm.
With this Gabby Petito
Oh,
situation, for every woman who has been, maybe will be, put in a situation such as in relationship, because
hmm.
that's what we were created to do. to be in
Exactly.
relationship. We were not
We're built
created
for
to
that.
be by ourselves and be alone.
Exactly.
But the unfortunate part, and and I've watched the stories, and I've seen the clips, and I've also seen where people, there are people who are angry, and especially people of color are angry because
Mm,
it
absolutely.
it
Mhm.
appears, and it is not just an appearance. It is quite evident that many times when a woman goes missing,
Mhm.
right, or
That's
when
right.
anyone goes missing,
Mhm.
it sounds an alarm, or at least it
Mhm.
should.
Mhm.
And in so many times we see the alarm sound for other races of people
Mhm.
as opposed to people of color,
Exactly.
right? The number of women and men who are missing that are people of color is outrageous.
It is. It
It's
really
it's
is.
outrageous. And these are cases that are what's considered cold cases
Mhm.
because the it's gone dead. It's gone cold. I mean, we all pretty much know. It's like within 48 hours, if there are not leads and there's not follow up within the first 48 hours, the likelihood of someone being found diminishes drastically.
It does. It does.
And in so many cases, and we see it all the time, a person of color goes missing, and it's the family, it's the friends, it's the family, the friends, the church, the whomever, who has to get out here and almost like beat down doors and scream and act and just lose their minds to even get a whistle blown to bring attention to the
Mhm.
fact that one of their family member, their daughter, their sister, their son, their husbands, their husband, whatever, has gone missing, has gone missing. Yet when it happens to other
Oh
cultures,
my God.
it's a international. It's
Yep. It's true.
international. We don't even get coverage in our community.
It's true. You're right about that.
Or
Absolutely.
if we get coverage, that's about where it stays in our community. It's not advertised sometimes even in other cities within your own state. Because why? It doesn't become national news.
Because it's what they it just, well, like you said, it's not what's more important. Like in this case, what they didn't say.
Right,
You know what I mean? But what
right,
they're showing you is
right,
that you don't matter.
right. But what I will say about Gabby, right? Like we've seen it in so many other situations.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Here was a woman, and I'm just going to deal with now the humanness of a human being.
Hmm.
I'm not, and what I said just even that before, it's not my anger. I want you to be clear, understand. Though I am very disturbed because we see these incidents so many times.
Exactly. We
I
do.
have
We
I have
do.
children, I have daughters, I have a son, and as a parent, I would never want to be, prayer God, in that situation where
Hmm.
your child goes missing.
Hmm.
And especially when your child is an adult and your child was with someone else.
Is that? Oh,
And that
yes.
person returned just fine as wine, and
Hmm.
your child, my child didn't come back. So, first of all, you didn't have to say anything, which you weren't saying anything in this
Right.
case, right? But when you see those video clips, and if you've read anything about this story, because of course, what we see sometimes, of course, is what media promotes. And
Of course,
so,
obviously.
right.
Hmm.
So you see Gabby crying. You
Hmm.
see him, he has scratches on his face. You see them interacting with the police officers. If you
Yep.
read the story, so the officers, yes, were called due to the fact that they had gotten into an incident, a domestic
Hmm.
incident, where he slapped
Exactly.
her. Then they got into the car sped off, and then someone had actually called the police, and the police then came and saw the speeding car, I'm assuming, or they went by the the policeman and were then pulled over. It is quite obvious that she was distraught.
Hmm.
It is quite obvious that he, on the other hand, was smiling and kind of playing this thing off, right?
Hmm.
But
Get a
in
little
that
cocky.
incident, right, very, very cocky, very arrogant. But in this incident, if I read that the police literally separated them for the night.
Hmm.
He went, he stayed in a hotel, and she stayed in the van. The argument was about her being wanting the van clean and him getting into the van with dirty feet, and supposedly that's what the argument was about. She also stated that he locked her out of the van, right? He wouldn't let her in the van. Now, we could look at this, right? I look at
Hmm.
this and say, what did you hear? What did you hear in these moments of what I just said? And what of what I didn't say did you hear?
Hmm.
Because this is what goes on when we are in toxic relationships.
Exactly. And they both suffer from mental illness. It was a lot. It was a lot going on there that we did not see.
Right.
Like you said, I mean, now they released the footage of the situation with the cop and everything like that.
Yes.
Prior to that, everything looked all hunky dory,
Right.
because we're always, well, they were doing like a video, a vlog of their,
Yes.
cross
Of their
country trip.
adventure. Yes.
Exactly. And I mean, it's so funny because when you looked at her on the blog and then you looked at her with the police officers, it was like she looked like two different people.
Absolutely. She
First
was
of all,
distraught, which is
she was distraught.
which is the transformation when you're in trauma, right?
Exactly, exactly. Because I'm saying that can and it's the same trip. You know, I was like, wow, this girl is something's going on. You
Right.
could see something was going on.
Right.
That happy exuberance and all those other things that she showed in the videos with all they were doing this, it was not there.
No, not at all. And you know what else? The first thought I also thought about was, okay, it's great to take these cross country trips. And as
Mm.
young people, we will tend to plan these, these adventures not well thought out.
Exactly.
I.e.,
Not well thought out at all.
not well thought out. I.e., most of us, especially when you get to a certain age, when you meet people, your first few times you spend a few hours together, or you may spend an hour or
Exactly.
two
Exactly.
together.
Uh-huh.
You work up on spending 2 days together. You
Yeah.
then work on 3 or 4 days together to see
It's gradual.
how
It's
we
gradual.
how we get along. Then you might get to a point where you're like, okay, we're going to share a same space overnight, not in an intimate, just we're going to share a space overnight,
Exactly. Right, right, right.
because that tells you a lot about a person. What does it tell you?
Yes, it does.
What's your bedtime routine? What do you
Mhm,
do when you go in the restroom? How do you behave? Do you walk around clothed? Do you not walk around clothed? Do you
mhm,
take a shower every night, or do you shower in the morning?
mhm,
Do you leave your clothes on the floor, or do you fold them
mhm,
up neatly and you put them every
mhm,
see? So when you look at two people who went on this, because they left for this trip in late July,
mhm. Right, exactly.
right? So think about the fact that these people had been out living in this van, living out in nature, which seems, oh my God, that's so wonderful if you're a tree hugger and you love it. But
Or just you
mentally,
think about just the fact that I'm with the man I love. We just have each
well,
other. We're together.
that
The whole
that
romantic
too.
side too.
Right.
Hmm.
This too.
Yeah.
This is so lovely. But now you are put in a situation where I'm sure everything does not go right. I'm
Mhm.
sure you brought a tent and maybe the tent leaked every time you put the tent up that you were sleeping outside. Or maybe it got really hot and the air conditioning didn't work in the van. Whatever was going on, I would venture to say there was some mental anguish for both of them, right?
Absolutely. That has to
For
have been.
both of them on this
Mhm.
long trip and journey together, right?
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
whenever we take a journey with someone or with ourselves, man, the things you discover, and some of
What?
it is
Oh, you just
not
said a word
cute.
there. Absolutely.
Some of it is
Is
just,
that?
it's not cute, you know?
No.
But when you
They said
look
like
at
if you really get to know somebody, go on vacation with them.
that's what I mean. Sharing the
Because a
same
vacation,
space.
when you're out of you not only are you sharing the same space, things will not go as you planned.
Correct.
How do you handle that when you're not in your comfort zone of your own space, your own
Absolutely.
home? You may be out of the country, you may
Right.
not speak the language. All these things come at you. How do you handle that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like it goes back to that saying, it's really real, like the New Edition song,
Can
everybody
you
loves the
stand the rain?
sunshine, but
Yes.
can you stand the
Can
rain?
you stand the rain? That is true.
You know what I
Because
mean?
because I feel like these two people obviously loved each other. She was engaged to him. They looked really happy with one
How long
another.
have they been together? That's why I never knew.
They've known okay, so these two people have known each other since childhood. These are not two people who just met each other. These two people
Mm,
knew each other from childhood. I believe they both grew up in the same neighborhoods, and then their families, he moved to where, to wherever his family was, and then
it's
she moved,
California, if I'm not mistaken.
then she was living with him at his parents' home.
Hmm.
Okay, so that says a lot to me. That speaks volumes to me.
Yeah,
now
definitely.
so to say that these two people did, it's not like they just met online, or you
Right, right.
know
Wasn't like that. Okay.
right, they knew each other. Okay, so I'm gonna step back a minute when I say, if you look at Gabby, and as we said, and you look at what's his name, Landry, I can't think of his first name right now, but if you look at them, you see her having a mental breakdown. She is having a mental breakdown. Like that crying was the cry of, I don't know what the hell is going on right now. Like,
Hmm.
the vision I had of what's supposed to be happening right now
What's
is
happening isn't
definitely
happening.
not this.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
but you almost say to yourself, now, was this kind of behavior going on between them prior to?
Fire. Hmm.
Because that has not been discussed yet, and who knows? Nobody knows that, right?
Well, I would find it hard to believe if it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't
Right,
to that magnitude,
right.
but I
I
would,
would
I would,
say it
I would
too.
find it hard pressed that it wasn't, like I do. I mean, I think that in any kind of situations when, somebody all of a sudden starts acting out and they, oh, I never seen that before. No,
No,
you've seen that.
there a lot of times we have, but I am going to say, factor in, as we just said,
Exactly.
they've been out here for days,
Exactly.
over a
Really
month,
your
almost a
comfort
month and a
zone,
half, almost a
right?
month and a half, right? You've
What
been
has
out
gone
here,
wrong,
and so we
wrong.
don't know what all has transpired, right? What if the car was running out of gas? What if they didn't have
Exactly.
money and they didn't want to call home and they didn't want to tell their parents? You
Yeah,
don't know
exactly.
all the
It
all the factors.
heightened all of that other stuff. It heightened it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree
So
with you.
so even to the degree where the police separated them, because of course that was a big
Exactly.
question for all of us, like, why didn't the police do something? Well, the police did. The police separated them. He went to a hotel, she slept in the van. But the next day, they obviously came back together, made up, and
Together.
went on. And 3 days later, she was not present. She was gone.
Exactly.
So when I say, when we talk about, I heard what you say, but more importantly, I heard what you didn't say.
Didn't say.
The actions of another human being, which we as human beings have the propensity to ignore. We are all guilty of it.
Absolutely.
We ignore the behaviors of another person that is typically a sign to us. It's a flag, right? Red flag, not a white
Yeah.
flag. It's a red flag that is
Get out.
saying to us, hey, this
Gotta
is
go.
a situation over here. This is
Run, Forrest,
not
run.
it, this is not
I'm telling you,
the
and,
person that you're thinking you're dealing with.
exactly. And it could be somebody that, like in this situation, somebody that you've known for years. But
Absolutely.
when that intuition kicks in on you, and it's like you feel that danger, it's you got even if it's somebody you're married to, it's sad. I mean, those. I mean, I know personally because I've just been through so many things like that. I'm out. I'm not trying. Like, it's a point that you cannot have a discussion. Everybody has to calm down. I knew early on forever never to put a man in a corner or anybody in the corner
Mm-hmm.
because what comes back at you, you're never really ever prepared for.
Right.
You
That
know,
is correct. Well,
I
and
don't.
and you just right. You no creature
No creature.
likes to be cornered,
Corner. Exactly.
right? Because
Exactly.
that's where what happens in being cornered. You're either gonna fight or
Yep.
flight. It's
A
fight
flight.
or fight. One of those two
Wait a
things
minute. And if
happen.
you're in a corner, your only way out, you can't, unless you're a bird, your only way out, you going through that person if they got you in the corner.
Right.
You
But
know what I mean?
typically if a
You just
bird
gotta
is in
get
a
to go
but
through that person.
but if a bird is in a corner, what would we know? Pretty much if a bird is in a corner, a bird is injured. That means a wing is broken or the
No, but
wing
I'm
is
talking about if you
lost.
have the bird blocked in, like, if you're
Right.
trying, what I'm saying, like that. If you
Right.
get that bird to that situation, that bird can like fly, get out of the way, from
Right.
you. But if
But I'm
you're a human
saying if
being
the
that comes
but the bird not flying away is an
it's
indication, right?
right,
That
it's
there's a
exactly.
reason why. That's what I'm just trying to get at.
I
There's a
got you,
reason why
that
the
he's
bird doesn't fly away. It is
right.
the same thing with us when we're cornered. You're either gonna
Mhm,
fight to get out or try to get out,
mhm.
or you're gonna run if you get the opportunity. Now, in this situation, we had two adults, young adults, but two adults who clearly knew each other. So let's roll it back a little bit with when we meet people that we don't know anything about.
I know.
When I say anything about, right?
But let me tell you this. I had a lady that I knew. She told me a story how her daughter was murdered. And her daughter, this gentleman, he liked her daughter. They had become friends. The daughter did not like him like that.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, it was her birthday. And she's telling me this. I don't think my daughter was even a month old. She came over to see my new baby. And she starts telling me this story. I was holding my daughter like this. Long story short, it was her daughter's, I think it was her daughter's 21st birthday.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have any real plans. So he offered to take her out. I'm not thinking about it was one of her birthdays. I don't think it was her 21st birthday. And she decided to go out with him. My mom was like, well, he knows that you don't like him like that. He said, no, I only like him as a friend, and everything of that nature. They went out, wasn't out for too long, but he came running back to the house saying somebody took her.
Mm-hmm.
And she said her instincts went up, like something happened. He
Right.
heard her do it.
Absolutely.
Because, she said then she used to date a FBI agent. She called him. He told her who the people, like, what the gun looked like, da 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 da, and all these things. And really come to find out he already had murdered her and
Of course
buried
he
her.
did. Yeah.
And it's like, and she said she had that feeling, what I mean? And that's just devastating, what
It
I mean?
is.
Because you never, I mean, all the times you never suspect situations that happen,
No.
that come at you, but it happens more and more than we realize. And it's usually by people that you know. I mean,
Right.
it's
Right. Stranger danger is not normally the person who,
no, no.
unless you're attacked by a serial killer or a serial rapist. And the most times that things happen to us are by people that we know. Now, how intimate we know them is not even the case, because we encounter people all the time, but the people who we encounter sometimes, and then we decide, you seem like a nice enough person that you and I should, we have something in common, or at least I'm willing to venture to see what we have in common. And then when people start to tell us their story,
Oh Lord, yes.
right? They start telling their story, and then we start telling our story.
Uh-huh.
I want to challenge you. Steph and I challenge you, because we talk about this all the time, because we are guilty of it too, is to learn how to let people tell their story and shut the hell up.
Yeah, you listen.
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 Stop going, oh my God, yeah, me too. No, not you too. Do let people tell you what and who they are, or at least who they are presenting to
Pretending to
you
be.
as to you. See, this is the part we miss.
Because people
There,
are they're actors, honey.
there is the real person, right? There is the first time impression person,
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
and then there is the person who is going to present themselves
Uh-huh.
as those people somewhere in between.
Uh-huh.
You know
Uh-huh.
what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Uh-huh.
Somewhere there's a mixture of those people put together. And
Exactly.
what we tend to do is we will hear a story and people are telling us stuff in your mind automatically. You saying to yourself, what you just say? Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, I'll be
You
saying a
know,
lot.
yeah,
But I'm not really
I,
commenting on some things. I'm not commenting because I don't really want to have a discussion with you. You already said what you said. I heard what you said, and I already know
right,
where this is going
right. Because
with me.
I'm gonna say, okay, we've talked about this before, how we go and we've dated people who we knew from childhood or young adulthood or college, right?
So you
And
feel so
so
comfortable.
I and so I clearly remember a situation where someone said, yeah, so my dad passed away, and I'm at home with my mom because I'm there to help my mom. Or, I moved my mom here, and so we all look out for her. So from time to time, I stay at my mom's house. Okay. All right. All right. Um, yeah, so I was staying at my brother's house, but my brother, he has wild parties and he's a drinker. And so I couldn't stay there anymore. So yeah, I've been living in my car. Uh, okay. All right then, and the stories go on and
On
on,
and on
right?
and on.
And so me being I want to be sympathetic, I want to be understanding. I don't want to judge somebody or think ill of someone because they're in a current or in a situation that may not look like what I would do or what I think they should have done. So I try to be sympathetic.
And we try to be Captain Save 'em.
Ooh, wait, where's my cape?
Okay. Like,
Almighty Iris. Remember Almighty Isis? Almighty Isis? Almighty Iris, right? And
ignite.
so we find ourselves in these situations, and then, it's so blissful and it's so wonderful and it's so, oh my God, my stomach is oozy and my hands sweating. And then a year later, or 10 years later, or 15 years later, you're like, wait a minute. You said you were doing what? You were living with who?
Oh God.
You know what? Like anything else in life, and it's funny because of course when we are involved with people or when we meet people, it's all about our emotions,
It
right?
is. It
It's
is.
all about our emotions. And so we get so caught up in the attraction, right? The wooing and the swooning and the we had such
Well,
great conversation. We have
but
such
the
great
thing that
conversation.
happened, the thing that we fail to realize as women,
Yes.
men have a type of instinct that we don't have. That because
Right.
they, whether they go to war or not, they still have that instinct.
Right.
You know,
Of
all of
prey,
them
of prey, of
have prey.
fear, of vulnerability.
And when I'm telling you, when they see a woman and a woman is walking toward them, he read her from top to bottom,
Mm,
bottom to top.
mm,
You know what I mean? He already read her. Now she just got to have. He just starts to start a conversation, and she got to fill in the blanks.
mm. That's
That's
good.
it. You know what I mean?
That's good.
So that's what we don't have that. And that's how they used to go out in the wild and kill the animals, bring them home, and all these things they're able to do. That's instinctual. That's in them. We
Mm,
don't have that like that. I mean, some people, but not the same as men. Okay. So they could say, okay, in their Rolodex, in their mind, oh, for this woman, I got to play this role.
mm,
For this woman, I
mm.
got to play this role. You know what I'm saying? So they know the roles they're going to play for the person that when they see her, this is the role they got to play to get her.
But I would venture to say it's not just men.
Oh,
Women
no,
do it
no,
too.
no. But what happens is,
Yes.
as we go through life and we go through things as
Right.
females,
Right. I
oh,
got you.
we learn it too.
Yes.
But they're born with it more than like so than we are. I mean, we all have intuition and things of that nature. But as a woman, and let's be clear that when a woman learns that game, she plays it better than a man ever could.
Yes, she does.
Yes,
But
you
in
know.
most cases, she still ends up at on the losing end.
Oh, absolutely,
She still
absolutely,
ends up on
yeah,
the losing end because we all
absolutely,
realize that game is game, and at some point in time, there can only be one winner in the game.
right.
When you're playing
Actually,
games,
I think that when we play games, everybody actually loses. You
right?
know,
Well,
some
this
lose
is
more than
true.
others.
This
You
is
know what
true.
I mean? Because, but they, let me tell you, they can see like, and me knowing a little bit about it, but not really knowing about it, having six brothers, you know, and having all my male cousins. But it's like that they see you coming. They see you coming, you know what I mean? And be like, either I choose to get with this woman or I choose not to get with this woman. I
Right.
know my brother-in-law's friend. He was with this woman off and on for like a minute, like 6 years, you know. And because off and on, but she allowed it to be that way. He was at a wedding with some other friends. This lady walks in. He never spoke to the woman. He said, "Oh, that's my wife." He married her in 6 months.
There you go.
They're still married over 20 something years.
Mm.
So that's why I would tell women too, like when you get into situations with these men and you want something they're not willing to give you, and then you're like going, oh, because he's not sure what he wants, he knows what he wants and he doesn't want you.
Right.
He don't want you the
And you
way that
and
you
you
want him.
cannot, and your waiting, your lying
Yes.
and wait is not because we all do know what we want. We make decisions about our food. We make decisions about where we want to live. We make decisions about where we're going to work or not work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We make decisions every day. So when we get in this place where we say we don't know, then that's a time when you as the other person, you need to make a
You
decision to
exactly for
say,
yourself.
well, I know,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that this is not what I want to do. And the same thing for a man. If you are with
Exactly.
a
But they see
woman in
but the thing.
relationship and
Mm-hmm,
she's saying, I don't really know,
mm-hmm.
walk away. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds crazy and I know that's
But no,
hard,
but it's true though.
but you got to learn how to walk away. And
You do. You
it's
do.
something I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and this one of the presenters said they had this up on their presentation, And what it said was, to listen is to be silent. Take the letters and listen and silent, and you will see that the letters spell both of the words. So never thought about that before, but the letters in listen and the letters in silent spell these two words. So what did I say a few minutes ago? You need to learn how to listen when people are telling you their story. Because when you do that, you have time now to go back and you need to analyze. I hate to say it that way, but you do. You need to analyze it. And that's not, and I want everyone to understand, the analyzing is not the analyzing of this person, right? To judge them, to say, oh, you're really this or you're not really this. The purpose of listening and the analyzing is for you to make a smart, educated decision
for yourself. Yeah.
For yourself. Not about, oh, he looks good or she looks good, or she offers something I never had before, or he offers something that I really, really want and I can get it faster if I'm with him or if I'm with her. It is really to analyze that, am I in the right place to even be with this person? Is this person in a place where the two of us coming together, where both of our lives will change for the positive? Or one of our lives is going to go here and one of our lives is going to go here, right? Exactly. Or both of our lives are going to be shot to hell when this is all over.
It's true though. And you can't, like, the
something
thing
we don't
is,
think about.
But you cannot, and I mean, how would you decide when you decide to be in a situation to share your body with somebody? But once a woman, it's different for a woman. When you start sharing your body with a man, you really don't hear anything that he's saying, because now all the endorphins, everything is just open up for you.
Correct.
And you're just like, now you're very vulnerable to that situation.
Correct.
You hear better once you're not letting this person, put themselves inside of you, because they always leave something inside of you.
Right.
Once you put yourself out there like that, and that's what usually happens, is that we get to that intimate place so quickly.
Right.
And it's true. It shuts a lot of other things down. When my niece and her fiance set me up online, on what do you call it, internet dating site or whatever. And that's how they met. And I went on a date with the guy, and he was a nice enough guy, not a guy for me. And I never forget, on our third date, he says to me, he said, I heard that if you have sex right away, you get closer. I said, well, that's never going to happen. Yeah,
you said, I didn't hear that.
we're never even going to kiss. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you like, but people say that and people do that and it happens, but then you're in a situation, because sometimes you hear these stories of being a life coach that it's like these people had a lifetime together and they only been together like not even a year. You know what I mean? The person already pregnant, is this and that, because the relationship moved at light speed. You know what I mean? You met, a week later, you're having sex. Next thing you know, a week later, you're living together. Next thing you know, you're like husband and wife. It's only been a month. They say, you're pregnant. And next thing you know, now you find out, he has two other babies over there. You know what I mean? Oh, you think that if you slowed your little self down, you would have found out. Oh, he really don't really have a job, or she don't really have a job. You know what I mean? Or, it's all these things that are going on that you just don't know about, because you haven't taken the time to learn. You could be with somebody for 30 years.
And still not know everything about them.
Let me tell you, my parents' friends, when my parents was young and they had a friend that was younger than them, this is even before I was born. And they used to hang out with him. He was like a little kid to them. My mother introduced him to one of her little girlfriends, nice little shy lady, got with her. He was a talker, and she's a little shy woman. Got her, talked out her panties after they were dating, and she got pregnant. Now we're talking about early 60s, late 50s. He was supposed to marry this woman, but now he's over here dipping with this other woman. When they went to the court, he never showed up and never married this woman. She was, my mother showed me, and when my mother told me the story, she showed me pictures of this woman. She was very petite. She was like 4'11", and she was shapely. She was a nice looking lady. By the time I came along and she used to babysit me, this woman was like 300 pounds and a very unhappy woman.
Mm,
Ended up marrying another man who just abused her and her son because she ended up having a son for this man.
mm,
So this is what it wreaked havoc on her life. All right. He ended up marrying this other woman because he had the nerve to tell my parents, well, she's a virgin, she's this. Well, this woman was a virgin too before you start
right,
messing.
exactly. And you took her
So let's be clear.
virginity.
Right. So he ends up and because she was tall, and I think she had long hair down her back and all this kind of stuff. So he was all infatuated with this woman. All right, let's move 30 years later. Okay. He comes to the South, she comes to the South. They go down south every summer, and then she would go off and visit some other relatives, and he would stay home. Come to find out, 30 years later into the marriage, this woman had 2 children before she ever met him.
Wow.
He never knew. And she had 2 children for him. Never, by the time he found they had been married, actually over 30 years, by the time he found out, she had 2 grown children.
That wasn't his children?
No, never
So where
uttered
where
a
were
word
her children? All those, oh my God. See,
down.
listen. Oh Lord. Listen in silence.
The children were down south.
Oh,
She
with
never
her family.
with her, but not the family they would go visit.
Oh,
Not even every
apparently
year.
not.
Another, so that's
Or they
why.
were and they just never shared that information.
Yes, and what happened? He now it made sense to him because she used to go off like when they would come down, she would disappear and she would go visit them.
Wow.
They had 2 sons. Those sons never knew they had a brother and a sister. Can you imagine?
So isn't that, so that's what I'm saying. You know,
But in
human
him, oh, she
nature.
was a good one. She was a virgin. She was this. She was better than this other woman.
Well, human nature. And we all will tend to believe that the grass is greener on the other side. Um, but the grass is only greener on the other side because you have not taken care of the grass that was on the side you was on.
Exactly.
Right?
And
Because now,
that's
because now the grass, now that grass is old and it's brown, or has it died, or it's brittle because you didn't take care of it. So
exactly.
now you want to cross over to the other side where the grass is greener, only to understand that if you are the fertilizer, that grass gonna die too.
That's right. That's
Or
right.
that grass gonna get brown too, because you are the common denominator.
You are the common
You
denominator.
you have to
And never.
you have to remember that again, like we said a couple of weeks ago, people are not responsible for your happy.
No.
People are not in control of your happy. And when
Hmm.
you are in a situation where you then believe that you cannot live without a person, you really need to take a step back to
Really,
examine
back that
yourself.
2 steps. It's true.
Because yes, we were created to be joined with other human beings, but we were not created to be possessive or unable to.
Function without them.
Exactly.
You
And
know.
so many times we hear what you said, but more importantly,
Mm,
I needed to have heard what you didn't say.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's the part, that's
And
where we
people
get
don't say a
caught
lot.
up. That's that's where we
People
get
don't say
caught
a lot.
up. Or
Mm,
sometimes we heard what you didn't say, but then
mhm.
we go, no, 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 but they said this. But when it's like math. If the numbers don't match up,
They don't match up.
they don't match up. The numbers are not going to lie. And it's kind of like that with human beings. Unfortunately, though, most of us have to go through sometimes horrific,
Yeah.
traumatic,
Hmm.
hurt, pain, loss, all of that before we get to this point of, oh, I need to pump my brakes a little bit. I need to pay
Hmm.
attention to what a person is saying to me. I need
It's
to pay
true.
attention to a person's actions towards me when I'm in the presence of other people that I know.
Exactly.
Or I should pay attention to if someone who doesn't know this person but knows me and then
Mhm.
begins to question me about that person, because sometimes we don't see it, but somebody else sees it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's hard to see the picture when you're in the picture,
Correct.
you know.
Correct.
So when you're like people that stands outside that picture,
Right.
and they have let's not even say not even people that have but just people they don't even have love for you or know you. I never forget when my niece brought her first boyfriend home right after she graduated from college, and she was like 23, 24, and she told me after the fact, of course, when I got divorced or when I told I was getting a divorce, and she said that he had said to her, "Oh, so what's up with your aunt, your uncle? Like, um, he what did you say? He said he's not even interested in a relationship anymore." And that's why she could see he saw that just through visiting. I think it was some holiday,
Mm-hmm.
um, because he watched the situations going on about him. He's never been in. He was outside the picture,
Right.
so he could see the picture.
Correct.
And it was interesting. So, and it's funny because when we had somewhere else to go, she said, "Oh, where's Uncle?" And I said, "Oh, we're getting a divorce," and he just looked at her because he already shared with her what he
Right.
saw.
Right.
And it was really, really interesting. And it's so funny. I just came back from Savannah, and my cousin, and I guess we just haven't spoken. And he said, "Well, what happened? You never told me what happened." He said he didn't speak. He said every time we had a family gathering, he wouldn't speak to me. He just go to sleep. And he said, "I thought it was something he didn't like me. I thought it was something to do with me. Like when I would be around him." I said, "No, he just wasn't engaged into anything that was going on with our family, most of the time." And this was just a conversation just recently.
Right.
I mean, like, 2 days ago. So it was quite interesting. But people, like I said, when you're in the picture, it's hard to see, but people outside the picture, they can see a lot more and they tell
Right.
you. But I can tell you this, like now being 57 years old, and remembering spending a lot of my time when I was young with adults. My aunt used to call me Miss Stephanie when I was a little girl. I say, "Mom, Miss Stephanie," and not my mother. She shared a lot, maybe like more than I needed to know, but she shared a lot with me, and I know remember all of these stories. Like I just wanted to just share with you and with our audience. But I can honestly tell you all the things I did go through, but all the things that I didn't go through because of all the things I remember. Because
Mm-hmm.
you do, if you live in this world long enough,
Mm-hmm.
you see that one thing, when you're like somebody else, a new person, a young person, and you could write the rest of that story
Right.
because you already seen
Right.
that story. You know what I
Right.
mean? And and some people will listen and some people won't because the true words have never been spoken. The longer you hear, the wiser you are. And it's not necessarily from your own personal experiences,
Right.
it's from the things that you have seen,
Right.
because and us as women, we tend to set ourselves up. Like I think I told you before with my other friend, he was living with this woman, very nice guy. They were living together like 3, 4 years. He went to a club one night, met this girl, and he basically gave her the phone call, "Baby, I'm never coming home again."
I met Sunshine. Okay.
Exactly. They've been married. They've been married 35 years. He
Yeah.
loves this woman's dirty drawers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
I
I
mean,
know a couple like that. They're not personal friends of mine. They're personal friends of my ex. And same thing. They met, um, according to the story, they met this night. She moved in that week and they have been married over 40 something years,
so and I think that
so
like
it does
people,
happen.
it does happen. You know what I mean? It's not the norm. It does happen, but and I think that people are, and see, I do think that it's like you can have that well, the word I'm looking for, you can have like that passion or that big romance. People tend to like foo foo. It's nothing wrong with romance. You can have romance every day in your
Right.
relationship, but you have to keep creating that every day.
Right.
And what happens in a lot of situations, people campaign for you, but don't do anything that you can't continue to do every single day. And if you can't continue to do it every single day, then that's not you. Whether it's a woman's part or the man's part, you have to be. If you're truly who you are, then you will continue to create that, and it will get better and better. But if you're not being authentic, then that's when it becomes difficult. So you have to be authentic from the drop. Don't tell me, oh, baby, I'll iron your clothes. Like, one of my brother will iron the clothes, he do all this. But then once he got her where she wanted her, I'll iron clothes. Oh, really? But prior to that, he was ironing the clothes and he was doing this, and
Yes.
don't. It's nothing good about that because it
Right.
doesn't. It really, it's a lie. Then the relationship is built on a lie, or what that person felt that they were getting in the relationship is a lie.
Mm,
Because
mm.
now you're not honest. You know what I mean about the things, just simple things like that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, now, cooking dinner, bring you breakfast in bed. Once, and sometimes people feel it's solidified. Okay, now she done had a baby. Now she ain't going nowhere with the baby. I've seen that a lot too. You get the baby and they change on you at a heartbeat, like, oh, I locked her down. Where's she going now? and
This
it,
is
and it's sad.
true.
It's really, really true. So, and you have to be, and I don't know what that's all about, because I would think that who wouldn't want to be in something healthy, you know?
Well,
But,
that depends if you know what healthy is.
what he looks like. That's true. That's true, because a
That
lot of
all
people
that
don't know
that's
what he looks
because
like.
healthy or a matter of peace or happiness is all a state of mind, and you have to have been
Absolutely.
able to have identified that or at least witnessed that at some point sometimes for a person to even be able to know that that's something that they should seek or that they deserve that. If I don't know what that looks like or if I don't know what that is, then my propensity is to, you
Mhm.
know, kind of go with the flow, however that
Exactly.
whatever that flow is.
But then some people are addicted to drama. It's like,
Oh,
if it's not
absolutely.
drama involved, they don't
I
know
don't
what to
want
do.
it. I
You be
let I
like, oh,
let
you got all the drama over there. Oh, this and the that and the that. Like, I look at, like, one of my brothers and his, relationship, and it's like, I mean, they married 47 years, but it was a lot. You know what I mean? Hey, my sister-in-law was out in the street throwing down. You know what I mean? Don't be looking at her, because my brother was busy, but they've been together since they're 15 years old and married since they're 17. I mean, they're going to be 70 this year. But it's like, wow, you know what I mean? And it's still the same kind of energy. It's interesting. I couldn't do it, but people like, oh, like, even with my family, you waited to get married, to have your children, to do this, and I'm like, but now you're divorced, but that's okay. If I had to do it again, would I do it the same way? Absolutely, you know, because that's what I felt was right for me. You know what I mean?
right.
My brother's like, okay, you shouldn't be having no babies in your 30s. That's old. You got to have babies when you're young. We young. You had babies when you're young. Because by the time he was a grandfather before I was ever a mother, you know,
Right.
but not, like a couple of my siblings were, you know, but I just chose to do it like my way. and that worked for me.
Well, I think also relationship and relational situations, matters of the heart, all falls back to what we're taught, what
Mhm.
we've seen, what we've been given as guidelines. Because I have conversations with my mom all the time, and I listen to how, she says people who were married but were obviously, being unfaithful to their spouses with other people's spouses. And,
Mhm.
women would get on to another woman and go beat up another woman and,
Mhm.
you know, beat up her face and this kind of thing. And
Mhm.
then she'd have to, be nursed and all this stuff during the week to
Mhm.
get her face back. And but the next Friday night or Saturday night, she's out there again doing the same thing. And
Mhm.
in my mind, it's like, okay, what sense does that make? Right.
Mhm.
But if you don't have the ability or realize that there's something better or different for you,
Mhm.
or to also understand that that which is not yours, you have no claims to it, you
Mhm.
know?
You can't be fertilizing other people's garden. It don't work. It don't work. And even when you think
Stay
it works,
in your yard. Go over.
even when you think it's working, let me
It's
tell you,
not.
my cousin tells me all the time. She said the world is round. It is not flat. What goes around comes around.
Comes around.
That is just the laws of nature. You know
Yes,
what I
it
mean?
is.
You will, let me tell you, you reap what you
You
sow.
sow, you will. And if you do, and I don't want to sound churchy, but if you don't repent for it, you really do reap what you sow. All
You reap
right.
what you sow.
Because we serve a God who is very forgiving, who is very, very forgiving. But we do have to repent for it. We do have to admit that it was wrong. And I think sometimes that's how we fall into, because there are many people who never see anything that they do as wrong.
Oh my
They,
God.
I mean, the society we live in now, and this is something I hear a lot. Okay, so here's the conversation. So yeah, how are you? I'm good. Da, da, da. We have a few conversations. We've had drinks together. So you know what? I'm really into you. Oh, great. I'm interested in you too. Yeah. So I got a situation. I'm sorry. What? I have a situation.
Oh Lord.
What's your situation? Oh well, I'm married. What? That I'm sorry. Yeah, but we have an understanding. What's the understanding? Well, she look, she do her, I do me, or he's doing him, or and she's really not doing anything except being at home thinking that, or maybe not, that her husband is faithful. But listen, but if you want to roll with me, you know, I'm letting you know up front, this is my situation, as if you providing me that information makes it okay to do wrong. But the reason why it lives is because there are people who will say, okay, I'm cool with it.
Well,
I'm good with it.
I personally know all about that because
I'm
I was
good with
offered
it.
that. I was offered that because he said, we can stay married. You do you and I do me.
Right.
I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
But whomever he was rolling with took that.
Right.
And I could, and I seen that. I seen another thing. The reason, I mean, I just personally couldn't, but I seen that story growing up with a whole bunch of my mother's friends. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yes.
When I
So
was
have
born, my
I.
mother was 42.
Family,
So
friends,
yeah,
aunts,
and so they
uncles.
was, I
Yeah.
mean, and they were well into their like I said, when I was born, my mother was 42.
Right.
So I'm spending my time with these people. They're like in their 40s, they're in their 50s, and seeing like what a mess you are making of your life.
And
Or
people did not get divorced.
no, they did not get divorced, which
people
I
would
did not
be people would be separated, as we would call it
forever.
today, for
Right.
30 and 40 years, and
Exactly.
then
Exactly.
year 55 we're gonna get back together.
Exactly.
What?
Well, when somebody's sick, because now ran everything out, or with the man, when you become impotent and you can no longer use it, let me go back home to my wife. And I know, so they take them back, and I know
Right.
something, but sometimes they take them back and abuse them, which I witnessed that too,
Right. Right.
which I don't think that that's fair
Right.
because, okay,
It's not right.
you like, no, because now you have allowed this man to do all these things to you. Now that he's sick, he has come back to you. You have decided to take him back, but now this is how you're going to get back at him. You're
Right.
not on fair ground at that point.
Right.
Now
And
he's
at
sick.
that point, you should have listened. This is why there has to be a point where people break up. You must break up. You
Yep,
cannot, don't keep holding on to this. Well, we're really married. Legally, we're married. Legally, you in hell too.
exactly, exactly.
So which one do
Yeah,
you,
because
which one do you want to be? Legally married, legally in hell, or legally at peace with yourself? How about just you go do what you want to do in your life? I'm gonna go do what I want to do in my life, but we need to separate these ties.
exactly legally, illegal.
Let's legally do that. If you want to be legal about anything, legally get
So we
divorced.
can legally move on.
Right. Legally get divorced and legally take care of your children and legally take care of your responsibilities. And that's men or women.
Exactly.
I always say that, men or women, because there are women who have to pay child support. And there
I know.
are
My
and there
girlfriend. I know quite a few.
and there are deadbeat mothers too who don't pay
Yes,
child
they are.
support. Trust me,
Absolutely,
I have met
absolutely.
several of them. Okay.
Yes, me too.
So I'm just saying, when we meet people and let people tell their stories, but really listen. really listen, and then take some time to analyze, to diagnose, to autopsy that those things they said
What?
to see if those things even make sense.
You get so.
Because sometimes if you really sat back and replayed what someone said, it's like an
Exactly.
interview, you would go, that didn't make no damn sense at all. Like, what? That
Oh
made
my
no
God.
damn sense.
No sense at all. Just like the
That,
guy saying to me, if you sleep together quickly, you come close. I'm like, yeah, you
like,
crazy.
well, that's not gonna happen,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
not gonna happen. This guy was hit, he was batting so low because he only, he's a karate guy and all the stuff. Well, he could take me by his karate school. You can't walk on the mats. And so he's like, so I took my shoes off and he said, see, because he was a short guy. See, this is the height, because he's like right like my height. He's like, that's why you need to wear those heels. You like this height right now. I'm like everything that I had said, like, why you like to go to New York? That makes you hyper. Like you talk so fast. I can't even understand. Did anybody ever tell you that they can't understand what you say? Like this guy is like, oh Lord. But there goes the whole conditioning thing, getting ready to set you up to pick you
yes,
apart,
yes,
you know.
right,
And eventually it's like I just like don't answer the call, then he like, you know, but
right.
you and not to mention because I said I'm looking to move, and one day he said, we could move together. I
Who?
was like,
What?
literally, I never kissed this guy, nothing. I don't think we even held hands. But I can see how women would drop their drawers for this man. But I don't drop drawers, okay? So that was never gonna happen. I don't even drop tongue at this point, okay? So that was gonna happen. I was like, this guy is a truth. Okay, but I can see little cute. He's a teacher. He had it all like, honey bunny, you got the wrong chick over here. I'm not the one. They can be a mess, and some people fall right into that whole situation.
Right.
And you're like, just like my brother got the new chick that he met online, living with her, and all this kind of stuff. But I was like, really, really, not really, not divorced yet. That's what we're talking about. Because they say it'd be better for him to get divorced once he retires in January. And, I don't. That's what his lawyer told him. I don't know about that, but it's like you need to like how do you say you can't ride one horse two horses with one eye. You got to close the door over here before you open up this door. I mean, and make that thing so permanent. You live in there, you this, you that. That's
Well, I would
crazy.
venture to say you can't ride two horses with one leg.
It's true though. But
Yeah,
people like setting up shop before they close other
yeah.
shops, and I just don't
You got to
understand how you do that.
you have to it's like when you go to a restaurant, right? When you go to a restaurant, you have to close out that ticket. When you
Yep,
go to a store to buy something, you have to pay for it before you can
exactly.
leave with it. When
Mm.
you stay at a hotel, you get to stay at the hotel, but nowadays they take your money up front.
Yep.
You
Oh yeah,
book
they
it,
go good. People
they take your
like
money before
speaking
you
quick.
even get there. Look,
Oh, it's
listen,
out your account.
you what? You don't cancel. You go. I went to a conference and I got there and checking in, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready to, present my card. She goes, well, everything is already paid for. I'm like, well, thank the Lord I had the money to make sure it was paid for. But
Exactly.
but you see what I mean? Things don't work like that, except when we decide we want to straddle this fence of I'm in the relationship, I'm out the relationship. I'm in the relationship, I'm out the relationship. Or I'm really in a relationship. Or as Jada Pinkett Smith said, hey,
She coined that phrase.
right, I'm in an entanglement.
She coined
and,
that
and
phrase.
even
Everybody
and even her husband said, Jada, what the hell does that mean? What is an
exactly.
entanglement? And that is
Exactly.
correct, because we put ourselves in situations that then we can't even figure out why we're in the situation,
Mhm. Yep. Because
right? And
in those
realizing,
situations, you didn't come with God. In those
what?
situations.
No, no. Well,
No, what you
no.
came
Do
with.
you know what's funny? because we do these things and then we put ourselves in situations knowing we have
Knowing,
enough
knowing.
common sense. We do. We have enough common sense to know
Like I'm going to go
going
down this
in
rabbit
the
hole.
situation, going in, it was already wrong. I can count the number of times I've gone to do something and I can say, you already know this wrong. You already know it's wrong. But oh, I'm gonna go ahead anyway. Or you talk yourself into the nothing's gonna happen. I'm just gonna go over here and we're just gonna
It's only 3 o'clock in the morning. That's good.
and listen. And they didn't make the call. I did. So
Oh,
it goes back to, as human beings, we need to really, really take time out. As women, take time out to really focus on what someone is saying to you. What are they putting in your spirit? What are they delivering to you? Is it believable? Does it make sense? And when all else fails, have somebody research them.
yeah. Or have somebody have
Have
somebody
somebody,
look at the
have
picture.
somebody, have somebody look them up.
Mhm.
Have somebody. I'm going to share this story. And this is from true bottom of my heart. When I first moved to Atlanta, no, I'm sorry, the second time I moved back to Atlanta, which was in would have been 98. Is it 98? Yes, 98. I had moved back to Atlanta. My son was at that time, he was what, 4? He was 4. Was it 4? Yeah, 4, I think. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So moved back to Atlanta and I was living in DeKalb County. And I was taking my car to the mechanic to it was like a minor key or a Midas, one of those places, to be fixed. There was a gentleman who worked in there. He was the manager. This guy was to die for. He
Ooh.
had the most
I can't.
beautiful. He was the whole candy bar. You hear me? He wasn't candy. He was a bar. He was the whole bar of candy. Like you would have you just want to keep
Oh
cracking it off and then cracking it off. And it was crack. He was crack. And so this guy was the manager there, and I had been there several times. So you establish rapport with someone.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
so this particular day, this particular weekend, my son was at his dad's house. And so I took the car in, and there was something going on with my garbage disposal. And so as we're talking, the guy says to me, hey, he says, and I'm not going to call his name because this really turned in this person was imprisoned, and I don't even know if they're still in prison. So I'm not going to call a name. But told him about the problem, and he said, I tell you what, when you come back to pick up your car, it'll be around my lunchtime. So if you come back, you can just come get your car, drive me back to your house. I'll take a look at your garbage disposal. If I can fix it, I'll fix it, and then you can bring me back to work. I said, okay, bet. Okay, now you heard me say this was 1998. So this girl is what? And maybe it wasn't 1980. I feel like maybe it wasn't.
Like 30, you're like
First,
33.
no. So I'm a correction. This was 1989 when I first, I think, moved to Atlanta, possibly. Somewhere's about there. I don't know. Anyway,
So
I
before you
go
had the
get this
baby.
guy. I was younger. I do know I was younger. I went and got my car. I picked this guy up and I take him back to my house. He takes a look at my car and he takes a look at the garbage disposal. He fixes whatever. It's something simple. It really just needed a reset, which I didn't know that, but he reset it. So now we're sitting on the stairs because I lived in a split level home. So we're sitting on the stairs that lead to the bedrooms to go upstairs. And this guy proceeds to kissing me. And I'm like, oh, no. That's not what we're doing here. So then he starts to get aggressive. And I'm like, oh, so now I gotta pull out whole South Bronx girl. Like, listen, bruh,
Yeah.
I'm not playing
Yeah.
with you. Matter of fact, let's go. Let me take you back to your job and, be done with that. So, needless to say, never, interacted with this person again. So, fast forward, this guy ends up being arrested for holding two women against their will at his home and raping them. I'm in my barbershop one day telling this story. The guy sitting across from me who had just gotten his hair cut says, "Oh man, I know that." He said, "We used to take our fleet of cars to that mechanic. That guy raped my coworker." To this day, I sit there and I think to myself, I was in the jaws of danger, in the jaw of a person that I assumed was a good dude, was a nice person. Because why? He was charming. He was handsome. He was well spoken. He was working. he had all the qualities, right, that one would desire, right? So my point to this is that I heard everything he was saying, but more importantly, I didn't hear what he was not saying. But I did recognize, I had enough sense to recognize when he became aggressive with me at my home. And I didn't know at that point that this guy was a rapist, but I could have been his victim.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
And so here's why, and in this day, in this time, and even though that was, and I'm going to correct myself again. You're right, Steph. It was 1998 because I was 33 years old. I was not. That wasn't the first time because that Rhonda wasn't here the first time I moved to Atlanta. So
Right.
yes, so I was 33 years old, which one would say you should know better than to take someone, a stranger, to your home. But remember what I said. In my mind, I had established rapport with this
Mm-hmm.
person. He was technically not a stranger, of course, to me, because one, a stranger is someone I don't know anything about,
Mm-hmm.
right?
You know, he worked.
I
He was in your
right.
car.
I knew
You
where
knew
this
him for a
person
while.
worked.
Yeah, you can
I
put your
knew
hands on him.
right. I knew his name. I knew where he worked. I knew where. So that gave me, quote unquote, hear what I'm saying, a very false and wrong sense of character of this person because I
Mm-hmm.
knew nothing about him, not enough to have him come to my home where I could have potentially been raped by this man.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the way he set it up, right? He
Mm-hmm.
said, "You come pick me up. I'll take my lunch. You drive me to your house and you bring me back." Do you realize? I realized, had this man attacked me and raped me, I would have had a hell of a time because it would have been, well, did he come to your house? No, I picked him up. I drove him to my house.
Why would you pick a stranger up like that? I mean, we're going to all these things, right? Mm-hmm. I
So,
hear you.
so what I'm saying is that I heard what he said, but more importantly, I didn't hear the things he wasn't saying, but I witnessed the things he wasn't saying and was quick enough, or no, I'm gonna take that back. I was blessed enough
Mm-hmm.
that I was able to get out of that situation unharmed. And so that's all I'm saying. That's all we're saying. You just got to be mindful.
You
You,
really,
you
really,
just
really do.
really have to be mindful. Take the time out, process people. I'm serious. process.
Even women, even when you're dealing with a
Right.
female friend,
Right.
like I
Process
met someone,
time.
and I mean, seemed like a nice enough lady, just before I went to California, and like I'm all about like positive. You have to like that negativity. I try to keep it over there. And when she started speaking to me, and we just ran into each other at Nordstrom's,
Mm-hmm.
she liked my ring. She's like, "Oh my God!" And we were looking at the Kurt Geiger pocketbooks, and oh, I got one, at the Nordstrom rack. She was just talking. We started talking like that, and then I was walking to the show. Oh, we can walk over here, just talking. I like people, meeting people. Then we started talking about real estate, whatever.
Right.
But prior to that, when I realized, she started saying to me, because she was like in her 60s, so her daughter's like in their 40s. So she was saying, because my daughter, she really can't find nobody to date. And then she started talking about how women don't want to be friends with other women anymore. Because all these women I try to be friends with, they don't call me. But I'm thinking that, like, it's something, it must be something.
Right.
Enough.
There's a
But
reason.
yeah, but me and you are not those kind of women. And we have our best friends, we have our crew, but
Yeah.
we're not every day, like, because we are just independent people,
Right.
because we're all busy. So like, what is it like? Are you one of them kind of women that got to be under your girlfriend every day all the time? Is
Mm-hmm.
that the situation? But more importantly, what she said to me, which was very disturbing to me, oh, because she's about your complexion, your dark skin, and men just don't like dark skinned women.
Okay.
And I was like,
That's
oh,
a very that's not a non-true statement, but it's a very general statement because
it was like,
everybody
but then
don't like
she
chicken.
exactly. She would like, well, you're not that dark, so men will deal with you.
Wow.
Let me tell
And you
you,
wonder why you don't have
friends.
friends?
But all I could think of was like, um, first of all, I don't think like that, you
Right.
know.
Right.
And but the more you like hear that, the people do think like that,
Mm-hmm.
No, that's
Absolutely.
I never thought about. I mean, I would hear that from my mother. I know she's always telling me, "Oh, you like those dark skinned men? You're gonna have ugly black babies."
She sounds like my aunt.
Yeah, I just be like, "Oh well." I
Sounds
never
like my
thought like that
aunt.
either. But that's like crazy talk. I'm a married.
Yeah.
I mean, but the more you hear people, and the more I hear things, when I'm listening to my mentor, people think, "Oh, I should marry him." Like, or the short women want to marry tall men because they have tall kids, whatever. I personally don't like tall men. You know what I mean? I didn't marry a tall man. My son ends up being 6'2". I just like, it's just like, I never ever, if I vibe with this person, I love this person. That's what mattered to me.
Right. But we have
And then we go,
biases. We have
you know,
biases. And then we lock ourselves into these standards, which is sometimes those standards is what gets us in trouble.
exactly. You know what I mean? It's like crazy. I was like, oh my God. Well, I don't think like, um, yeah, they do. They get us, but I think it's not the standards. What's the
Right.
other
I was gonna
word?
say not the standards. It's the right. That's the wrong word.
Right.
You should have
That's the wrong
standards.
word.
Let me correct
Right,
that. You
right,
should
right.
have standards.
You want your standards. It's
It's
the other
the
thing.
it's the it's the
I know,
oh
I know the word you're looking
yeah.
for. I can't think of it now
And
too.
neither can
But
I.
right. That's what locks you into these situations. But I never, like I just don't. And you hear it more and more. So I'm saying this woman, and the woman, a nice looking woman. She wears her hair, shaved. Oh, I just took my weave out. Now she was getting her eyes lifted. She was doing all this stuff to herself. I was like, oh, they look nice to me, but hey, whatever you have money to do. She's got all her teeth done. I spent 20,000, got my teeth done. I'm like, wow, that's not, what I mean? But don't say because of your complexion or your daughter's complexion, they can't find somebody. Because if you put that in your mind, you won't.
But this is just what we're talking about. She said, you heard what she said, but in this situation, more importantly, you're hearing what she's not saying.
Exactly.
There are a whole lot of insecurities or lack of self-image or lack of
Mhm.
self-pride or lack of,
Exactly.
there are things missing, there are voids there that brings a person to that to that mindset and that thought process, and now
Mhm.
you're putting that onto your daughter, or you've already
Exactly.
put it onto your daughter, or
Mhm.
to other people that you encounter, which is unfortunate.
But I think now it's like really bad. I don't know. I think we talked about the story. It happened a while ago. So, all right. So Solange, Beyonce's sister,
Mm-hmm.
she has a son. Her son's like 15, 16 years old now. He was dating one of the Disney kids. Oh, I can't remember the young lady's name right now. Very pretty girl. But now she's aged out, so she's trying to really move into the adult thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sky Jackson, that's what it was.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and
very talented young lady.
very talented young lady, very pretty lady, raised
Yes.
by her single mom, and he's a little younger than her. And I guess he's a nice looking kid. A very, very, very fair, blue eyes. Long story short, he was dating her. He was this is a blog for like celebrity kids, and he started talking about her, and he didn't say. So when he started talking about it, the guy was like, "You sure you want to talk about this?" He's like, "You know who I am. you know who my aunt is." He didn't say his mother. You know who my aunt is.
Mm.
Beyonce. But long story short, he was saying how the girl fooled around on him. And he said, "Can you believe she fooled around me and I gave that darky a chance?" And then he took a video of him, like doing something not
Oh,
nice,
I think, yeah, I remember us talking about that.
and
Mm-hmm.
he released the video. But I'm thinking, this is 2021, and this kid is calling somebody darky,
Yeah. Well, that's something that's been already instilled in him from.
obviously, obviously. And I know it went on to say that his grandfather, Matthew Knowles, really looked at Tina because he thought she was Puerto Rican, and that was the reason he was attracted to her. So it's a lot of colorism, and I think it has going on in our families. But you would think at 2021 that would not be the case, and it's really disturbing. What you like, but like to have a woman in her 60s say to me, so I realized that even if I was to have a friendship of some sort with this woman, this was going to be her thing. You
Yes.
know what I mean? You can see where that was gonna go. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't understand that, and I don't like that. I say because all my girlfriends are all different complexion. They know none of them have a problem getting a man. So what's your problem? Because
Well,
that's not what it's about.
diversity, but that goes, if you really want to be, diversity is diversity in inclusion, exclusion starts within our own races. I
It
mean,
does.
and that's, that's a real thing. And yet we don't understand how that trickles down, and then we're mad at those who discriminate against us, but we discriminate against one another
With each other.
because
Yes,
of
we do.
skin color, because
Yeah.
of background, because of,
Yes.
oh, you were, your mother or your grandmother was an Indian Cherokee who was impregnated by a white man, or they were, Chinese Jamaican, or they were, we do
Mhm.
it to our own
Yes, we do.
selves,
Yes, we do.
you know
Yes,
and
we
then,
do.
and until we all learn to accept people for who they are, just, it doesn't matter. It's not about the color of your skin, it's your actions that I'm
And your
concerned
character.
about, and
And
your
your character.
character. I don't You could be pink with purple dots. I don't like you or dislike you because you're purple with pink with purple dots. I may like you because you are pink with purple dots, because purple is my
Exactly.
favorite color, but I
Mhm.
may not like you because of your purple skin and purple dots, that you are just evil and wicked toward anybody and everybody because you're pink with purple dots. That's not
That's
my
right.
fault.
Nope, not at all. Not
And
at
I
all.
and I have not chosen to pull out your differences. You have decided to pull out your differences, or you have decided to pull out my differences and make it an issue. And that's the greatest thing I think that is wrong with our world, is that we don't learn to appreciate difference. We don't
Mhm.
learn to appreciate, I don't look like you, you don't look like me, we're all uniquely different. But you don't have to criticize me, you don't have to hate me, you don't have to dislike me because I don't look like you, or I don't sound like
Exactly.
you, I don't walk like you, right? Imagine if we all were the same. Life would be,
Well, that's what's happening right about now.
well,
Let's be
well,
clear.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
listen, we had a whole conversation. Because listen, we can't. We don't not. We don't have enough time to do that
I
today.
know we're gonna have to have that conversation because that just burns me up. Oh my God.
We don't have
It's
enough time to have that
I
conversation.
know we don't. We're gonna have to have it one day though,
Yeah,
because
we
it is
are.
getting worse, honey, because they have lost their minds.
Yes,
Okay.
they have. The whole society wants to. Everyone wants to look alike and be alike. Yet you don't, but you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in any event, we
Well,
I
you have
just,
to I have this. Wait. Let me show you this. I have this. Check this out. Wait 1 second.
okay. Uh-oh. Dash is
Can you
saying
see
stop
it?
running. Oh, oh, I love that. I see purple
Yeah.
and green. Oh, that's beautiful.
I got this. I must have this since I was like 25,
That is
24.
beautiful. I
And
love that.
maybe I didn't. I had this for like 10 or 11 years before I even had Savannah. And I put this in her room when she was a baby.
That's beautiful. I love that. Dare to
And
be
it's like you
different.
have to dare to be different. And I keep it. I have it in my bathroom downstairs now. But
That's
it's
so
like, dare to
beautiful.
isn't it?
That's
And it's
beautiful
so
and
true.
so appropriate.
So appropriate.
Yes.
We have to dare to be different. Not
Yes.
the same. And I think when we think about our group of people and our groups of friends,
Yes.
that's the thing that attracts us to our friends when you
Yes.
really think about it.
Yes.
And the ones that are the more different are the ones you're more closer to, because you're just
Right.
like, I'm comfortable in my own skin.
Right.
Because once you get comfortable in your own skin, you could fly to the moon and back.
Right.
you
And
know
you're
and
not
most
bothered
people,
by other people's differences.
exactly, like most people never get that. Most people never do. That's the
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have talked a lot today about a lot of
Yes, we
things.
have.
And so, as always, I hope that you all garnered something from this. Oh, I do have a very special announcement though. So, as most of you, you tune in, but I will tell you next Friday, which will be, what is that? The first? Nope. Is that the first? Yes. I want to make sure. Next Friday, October 1st, we're going to have a special guest, and you don't want to miss it. So I'm not going to tell you who the guest is. I will tell you that you want to tune in. You want to make sure you tune in. Share with your friends, with your family, with your spouses, with your and if you're in real estate, or you're thinking about being in real estate, you definitely want to be here. I'm telling you, you're going to walk away with more than just real estate info, but there are going to be some nuggets given out, and it's just going to be a blessing. And so I'm telling you now, mark your calendar to make sure that you tune in next week. It will be 10 a.m. So, you know, check us out, listen in, tell your friends, not hide your mamas, not hide your daughters, not hide your, share with your daughters, share with your family, share with your friends, share with your coworkers to tune in. And so we want to say thank you so much. We hope that you all have a beautiful and lovely weekend set and ready to do. Um, I'm going to enjoy this weather this weekend because it's finally cooling down in hot Atlanta. I don't. I'm hot wherever I am. I don't care what state it's in.
I know that's right.
The
But you see, like
state,
I got
the
my fan
state,
now,
right? The state that I'm in is always hot. Just know
always
that.
hot.
Okay. Always hot. Okay.
So when Joe came to visit me from Tokyo, he bought me this fan from Tokyo. So
Oh,
I
it's
got my
beautiful.
fan. Is it
Beautiful.
gorgeous?
Yes, beautiful. And we always need a fan.
Yes, we do. So I keep my
Yeah.
fan. So I got a,
I
I was fan. He said, I
listen.
bought you something.
This is the one that sits on my desk.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. So this
I know that's
I always
right.
I always have to have a fan.
Nothing wrong
But
with that.
I'm going to encourage you all, as we always tell you, remember that I'm a life coach. Steph is a life coach. I would really love an opportunity to help you in your journey. And as I stated before, a life coach is not a therapist. A life coach is someone who you work with um, much shorter period of time than you would a therapist. Because typically, when you're working with a life coach, you're working on one specific thing that you're trying to get done or heal from or journey through or figure out where you're going to, what your next move is. And so, like you would go to an eye doctor to have a checkup, like you would go to the health doctor, a life coach can help you figure out your plan of what you needing to do, maybe what adjustments you need to make, where you may need to tweak some things and make a change. So I would really love an opportunity to be your coach. Again, you can reach me at IDO, and it's actually love coaching. So I do love coaching at gmail.com. You can, of course, reach me on Spotify. You can reach me on Instagram, also on I do love coaching on the gram. And I would just really love an opportunity to share with you. So keep that in mind. Steph?
Just remember, dare to be different
Hmm.
because that's where it all is. We all not the same. And like I said, I am a life coach also. My specialty is divorce and style coaching. With style coaching, I have a degree in fashion design. And for us that are in our 50s, moving into our 60s, but we look like we're in our 40s, someone's like we still in our late 30s and got the body to show for that, but we still can't dress like our daughters. So if you're trying to put that sexy spin, and you just don't know quite how to do it,
Hmm.
I'm here to help you do that
Hmm.
because you got to be careful. Just because your
Right.
body says you could wear it, don't mean you
Right.
should.
Doesn't mean you should. Yes.
That's right. Everything is not for everybody. And as you get a certain age, because the thing is, when you try to dress too youthful, you end up looking tardy. So it's a fine little dance, So I can help you, find your beat on that aspect.
I love
So
it.
I see mymentor.life. You can find me on mymentor.life/Stephanie Diani Green.
Yes.
So
Oh,
you
and I'm
just
sorry.
Google it.
And you can also find us on our YouTube channel as well.
Exactly.
You search us on
Iris Owens.
as yeah, Iris Jones, which we need to correct. I'm going to
Yeah.
work on that this week.
Yeah,
So we're gonna
we're
get
working
that
on
right.
that.
We're gonna
And
get
you can
that
find us.
right. So we want to just say thank you all so much. Again, I hope you all have a blessed weekend. I love you, Steph. Have a great
I love you, honey,
weekend.
too. Thank you. You do
Thank
the
you.
same.
All right. So you all be blessed. Thanks so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.